We are here with our instructor, Mika Siddiq.
I got to load again.
And as you can see, I've worn him out a little bit. So we were supposed to finish up on Saturday. It is Monday, Labor Day right now. We had a family emergency on my end. In-laws, we had a death in the family, so we had to go address that. Left on Friday night. We cut production early, and then I got back early Sunday morning. Now we're Monday, back at it. And so we're finishing up the production for level 1. And in this particular lesson, I think this is the last practical lesson that we're going to be doing today. So which essentially will help us basically wrap up all the major content for level 1. And in this video, we are going to be covering week 13, right? Or 14?
Week 14.
Week 14. And 14 is
our SOS, otherwise known as, barely known as, formerly known as Shamsiyya and Qamariya.
And contemporarily now, we're just going to call it sun and moon letters, baby. If you're not aware what that means with regards to sun and moon letters, I just saw that my camera here, thermal management issues, it just shut down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off, and turn it back on. Hopefully it will still give me the appropriate image. So just a rule of thumb, guys, if you're going to do any kind of production work, get cameras from Sony that are beginning with FX. Don't get a ZV. Don't get a or alpha something. Get an FX camera. So FX30, FX3, FX2, that's where you want to be at if you're going to be producing content and you want to do it reliably. We have FX cameras throughout the studio, except for this one. That's a ZV camera. And so, and it is Houston, it is summer, and the AC is out because it's Labor Day. And so the camera is kind of getting a little warm. But anyway, we are prepping here our sun and moon letters. And for those who are unacquainted, what that refers to, what that means is Shamsiyya Qamariya, basically the word for the Shams translates to sun, and Qamar means moon. And so any word that has the principle that we're going to be sharing in this video, maybe I'll capture some of this stuff behind the scenes.
In today's lesson, inshallah, we'll be covering something that we already went over and adding something new. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. We will be discussing what some of our instructors may refer to as the SOS sign. So SOS stands for start or skip. This rule essentially is knowing when to start with unpunctuated alif, how to start, what sound to apply, or when to yield. And whether that makes sense to you or not hearing it, inshallah, we will show you to make things easier. So we're going to look at the first example. And we have here this alif, okay? On top of this alif, we have a sign that does not look like any of our other sound signs, and we call this the SOS sign, okay? So how do I pronounce this alif? The first thing that I should know is, if the letter that comes after the alif is lam, I'm going to pronounce it as ah. The sound of alif will be ah, okay? The second thing that I need to understand is that there will be a time where I will see an alif with an SOS sign, and after it there's a lam that has a sound sign, rest sign. And then there will be another time where I see the alif with an SOS sign on top, and after it there's a lam that has nothing on top, okay? So we went over this before, and we said that this phenomenon, or this rule, is called the sun and moon letters, okay? And the example that we gave in the sun and moon letters was as follows. If we look at this word here, we have alif with our SOS sign. We have lam with a rest sign. First thing we know is there's a lam after the alif. We're going to pronounce the sound of ah. Second thing we know is because there's a rest sign on the lam, we're going to pronounce the lam. Al-Quddus. Al-Quddus. Okay, now we come here. We have an alif with an SOS sign. The lam has nothing on top, so that makes it one of our Shamsiyya or sun letters. As-sa, as-sa, as-salamu. Now, for the new addition to this rule, you will sometimes come across an alif that is not an alif. You will sometimes come across an alif that has the SOS sign, but there's not a lam after it. So if you look here, we have alif, SOS sign, and a qaf with a rest sign. How would I know to pronounce this as aqra or uqra or iqra? The way that we determine how we pronounce this alif is by going to the letter with the next basic sound sign. So qaf has a rest sign on top of it. It's not from the 3 basic sound signs. What's the next letter that has a basic sound sign? It would be the line on top. So the rule is as follows. If you have a line on top or line on bottom as the next letter with a basic sound sign, you will pronounce the alif with a line on bottom sound. So iqra. Why are we pronouncing it as iqra? Because we look at the ra and we have a line on top. Easy. Let's look at another example. Here we have alif with a SOS sign, and a ra has a rest sign, which means we need to look for the next letter that has a basic sound sign, and that's going to be jim. What is our sound sign? Line on the bottom. Remember, line at the top or line at the bottom, we pronounce it with the sound of a line on the bottom. So we're going to read this as irji'i, irji'i. Easy, right? I'm going to write one more example for you. So we have an alif with a SOS sign, dal with a rest sign, and ayn with a loop. So we know that we need to look for the letter, the nearest letter with a basic sound sign. That's not dal because dal has a rest sign. So ayn has a loop on top. Ru. So we read this as ud'u, ud'u. Easy, right? And now, as always, let us end the lesson with a short recitation. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس. هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر. سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. And inshallah, until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So my phone was tapping out because it's got too much heat. We just finished.
Only
up-
Jiu-Jitsu people are going to get that terminology. Tapping out.
Come on, UFC culture is hot too, right? But anyway, I just wanted to share that we are done with the content for the practical and the glass board. And so we just finished off. But we were covering SOS, the stop or yield situation. But I just realized something here. Flatten it up so we were in focus. So we're talking about Shamsi and Khamri letters. I just found two more.
Oh yeah, I saw it. It's just we have the same thing with the Huwa and Ar-Rahman.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason. But I could have done Ar-Rahim. So yeah.
Okay. For all those who are watching on the vlog, we're just pointing out moon, sun, and moon letters. Any parting words of wisdom for our YouTubers?
I haven't been teaching Quran since I was 15. Every single time, as a teacher, we all have, especially as you get older, like you always think like, every year I'm going to do something more advanced. So I'm going to teach, some super advanced tajweed. I'm going to teach some super advanced tutors in terms of recitation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always brings me back some way or another to teaching the most basic levels.
Fundamentals.
The fundamentals. And as I get older, I understand that, subhanAllah, Quran is an ocean, and it doesn't matter where you reach or what you achieve. You always have to go back to your foundation. You always need to go back and review. There's times when I was on the board and I caught myself pronouncing a letter and I'm like, wait a second. I learned this maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. But I'm like, yeah, this makhraj, maybe I could have done it better. Or the sifa didn't apply. And subhanAllah, just imagine as a person who leads salawat, as a person who teaches Quran, sometimes we're so busy going forward that we don't take a moment to pause and say, hey, where am I right now? Because we're so focused on our students. And so, subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, blesses us by giving us opportunities like this. And it should never be taken like, oh, I'm only teaching basic level, because we were all here one day and we all need to go back to this as much as we can, if we could, every day. So my advice would be, to never look at something that is too basic or too simple. Like I said, we were all here one day, and there's no reason why we shouldn't return to it. So, alhamdulillah.